Yeah, good morning. Believe it or not, it's Friday. This week has flown. It's just been like zap, and here it is, Friday here. Now, temperatures will rise today. We're expecting it to be somewhere between 97 to 98 today. Oh, yeah, warm weather's back. Heat index should reach 100 today is what we're expecting. Over the weekend, it just gets worse. Toward the beginning of the work week, we'll see triple digits. We'll see at least 99 over the weekend. It could top 100, but we definitely will start seeing those triple digits by Tuesday. So be prepared. It's going to be a hot, hot summer. Well, I guess summer is over, and this is the dog days of it. One thing that we wanted to point out, let you look at, is not near Mississippi. It's not near the Gulf Coast, but out to our extreme west. Let's pull this up and go to the west coast there. Category 4 hurricane this morning as we pull this up. As it makes its way toward California, you've got a Category 4, 144 mile an hour winds, wind gust of 173. Now, if this were to actually hit, it would be the first one since 1939. As we look at the track of this should be downgrading to at least a 1, possibly a tropical storm by the time it comes inland there at San Diego. We'll see where it makes landfall, but that's what's projected at this point. There's a lot of activity that we're going to talk about that's going on in the Atlantic and what it could be doing to affect the Gulf. Again, forecasters keep telling us late August into September is going to be horrendous with storms. We've got 4 that are in the making off the coast of Africa, making their way toward the Atlantic and then on in toward the Gulf. Nothing major yet, but they are starting to form and spit off a little bit of rain. And we'll show you all of that here in just a moment as we start this Friday. How do you feel? I hope good. Don't forget to wear that red shirt. Me and Odie have got ours. He's getting prepared over there. Richard Nelson, good morning. So good to see you. Charlotte Gray is up. Philadelphia being represented. Miss Jamie, how are you? One of the reasons left that hole. All right, let's see. Virgil Williams, how in the world are you today? Happy Friday to everyone. Now, Jennifer Clark joining us as well. Let's go out to First Baptist. We got to go out to Collinsville, get a good word for the day. Brother Ben is on, and let's see if he's got the rest of that jacket off. Let's see what he has to say this morning.
Back when I was in school, math was never my best subject. I mean, it was always my lowest ACT score. I can remember sitting there and thinking, I wish Albert Einstein could just come take this part of the test for me. I mean, wouldn't that have been great? I mean, a dude with his sort of math skills would surely get a super high score. Well, as we turn to Romans 8, we see that there's something that you and I are not very good at as well. Not just math, keeping God's law. As we've said before, we have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. We've broken His commandments. We've failed the test. And in this test, you don't just get an F and get to repeat the class. You get condemned to hell, the Bible says. But here's the thing. Like I was hoping Albert Einstein would do for me on that math test, Jesus Christ has stepped in and taken that spiritual test for us. And guess what? He passed with a perfect score. He did what we couldn't do, keeping the law perfectly. And here's the amazing thing. Jesus will give His test score to every person who will turn from sin and trust Him. He will trade you your F for His 100A plus. And for those that'll do that, you will no longer face condemnation. Listen, Einstein was good, but Jesus is better. Invite Him in and trust Him. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Sunday morning, they'll be opening up the doors. Hope you'll make it by. If you don't have a church, they'd love to have you. Go to any church. It doesn't matter. Hope you can get a good word for that. As I mentioned, it is Friday. Right now, we're starting out this morning at 66 degrees. Now, as we start looking at headlines that shape America this morning, I'm not picking on airplanes, and I don't want anybody to think that. But our first 2 stories, and I've made this comment before. How many of you watching travel sometimes private airplanes? A company that you work for has a pilot, and they fly you here, there, and yonder private. You get there a lot quicker. This is both of these the first story is definitely a major airline, but it shows just how things could go wrong. A flight from Miami to Chile. Now, of course, this was a foreign airline pilot in the flight. Now, of course, when it's a major airline like that, they have 2 to 3 other people up front. But I've always warned you, if you've got a private company you have an airplane and you have one pilot, it's not good. Always have a co-pilot. You never know what's going to go on. The man died. Now, everybody was fine. They diverted and landed and took care of the situation, but he passed away in mid-flight. When it's your time, it's your time. Just being precautious. Yesterday also, this was in Malaysia. Private jet went down and crashed in the middle of the highway in Malaysia. 8 on board, all died. Not to spook anybody with airplanes, just showing you extra precaution as we look at this. We'll be watching that hurricane that we mentioned there a few moments ago. A Canadian woman is getting ready to spend 21 years in jail. And you go, why would she be doing that? Well, when President Trump was in office, she sent a nasty letter. It might have been poison-laced. They traced it back to her. 21 years in jail she will spend. Now, how many years has he been out of office now? Look how long it takes for the justice system to work. He's been out at least 2. This could have happened 3 or could have been 3 years ago. Could have been 4 years ago. Doesn't give the exact date the letter was mailed. Oh, yeah, they do. 2020, 4 years ago. The justice system is overloaded. Prime example of that. CIA is getting sued, and you go, who would sue them? Anybody remember that Dirty 51 group that said that Hunter's laptop was all fake? Yeah, they're getting sued. They lied. I guess none of you thought the federal government would lie to you, would they? The problem is it's not the government, it's the people that we elect that are crooked. Never forget that. Make sure your vote counts for what you're doing. Study up on them. There's folks that do things behind the scenes that you would never even think. Just because somebody says they're a Republican or they say they're a Democrat doesn't necessarily mean they're there to do good. Sometimes it's there to, well, what's the old term? Stuff their own pockets. 51 of these guys lied. Every bit of that laptop was true. Shame and more shame. Somebody should be removed from office that allowed all of this to happen. Somebody had to give the approval to say, get these guys together to sign this. Whoever that is, they need to go along with all 51 of these folks. That bothers me. And I certainly hope that it bothers you. We'll talk about that old boy coming up in a little bit. Georgia, will this happen? I hold my breath. As we know, the DA that's filing all of these charges against Trump, a senator is moving forward with impeaching that DA. Will it happen? I highly doubt it. But that's what's happening this morning in Georgia. We'll watch the case very, very closely. As we look at New York, and this is one of those hotels, you got to be somebody, I guess, to even be there because it's very, very expensive. Jay-Z owned an apartment there. As a man dressed in pajamas jumped off last night, 750 feet to his death on the sidewalk below. Now, they hadn't identified who it is, but it's got to be somebody that was in a bind. Very, very rich neighborhood. Something went down, and they decided not to carry on with their life. We'll find out who it is a little bit later. We won't even get into the pictures of what they've shown that is out there. It's pretty rough there. Boy. More on that coming up this morning. Also, we're going to check your forecast in just a moment. We'll check in with Odie, make sure he's doing good there. He's had enough coffee. We don't want the man in the studio not thinking clearly. Sometimes you got to have an extra cup to be able to think correctly. We'll be right back as we begin this day. The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're built in, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group. Welcome back. I want to say a thank you to Burns & Burns, one of our local companies that has just joined as one of our sponsors. We appreciate you. Hey, they're building a new store in Clark County. They're in Quitman. Look forward to that. Great lunch coming up today in Marion. They got stores all over the place. And we want to say thank you to Burns & Burns for being a part of what we do. Known David and his family a long time, and we say thank you for being a part of the Scotty Ray Report. So many joining. If you'd like to find out more, send us a inbox, and we'll get you started being on the most talked about show in East Mississippi. All happens here each and every day. All right, let's get into our forecast to find out what those temperatures are going to be today.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Well, as I figure out which button to hit, here we go. The hot temperatures back in 2104, 0456. Now, as we move forward with today, as we look at Mississippi, we're looking at somewhere around 98 to 100 here in Meridian. As we move forward there through Philadelphia, a little bit cooler in Philadelphia, 95. I know you're thinking that's not much, but it is a little bit cooler. Now, out to our west, as we get into Vicksburg, we're going to be breaking triple digits. 101 is expected there on the river today, and it will remain that southward there toward the coast. It's going to be warm. Be careful there. As we look to Bamaland this morning, as we pull up this, we look to see 96 in Demopolis, 95 Tuscaloosa. Montgomery checking in at 96 today. Hamilton, Alabama, a little cooler there at 91 is what we see there. Now, as we look at wildfire conditions, as you see, Lauderdale County included this, Newton, most of Neshoba County, and again, if you live north of Philadelphia, it's still not smart to do any burning this weekend. Wildfire conditions are expected as we look at this. This is all over that. Don't thump a cigarette. Don't let chains drag the ground, and watch those vehicles if you're driving through pastures. They can get all that hay hung up underneath them, or brush, however you want to word it. Next thing you know, you got a fire. Be careful on that. Now, heat stress is coming back. Today, it will be just to the west of us there around Jackson, even further bad, Brookhaven back into Natchez and into Louisiana. They should see that 110 temperature. Now, as we look at the weekend, here's what we have. Meridian area, and that includes Philadelphia, Kemper County, Clark County, should see 110. As we go south and west of here, Jackson, Mississippi, Laurel, Hattiesburg area, we're going to see at least 115 over the weekend. These are the heat indexes leading into next week. Be careful. By Monday and Tuesday, we'll see triple digits for sure. As we look at this, no better. Hot weather across eastern Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Bama. It's warm, and it's going to remain that day for the next 6 to 10 days. Be prepared. Now, here's what we've got so far. As you'll see today, is going to clock in at 97, 98, 0% chance of rain for today. Well, all weekend, 98 is expected to be the highs over the weekends with high heat index. But as we get to Tuesday, look at this, 99 by Wednesday, we're at 101, and by next Thursday, 103 degrees. It could be even, again, this is a week out, it could beat that. Doggone. Whew, warm there. As we look at our forecast all the way through September the 1st, we're still hovering at 102 on the 25th and 26th. 95 by the time we roll into September. Still warm, isn't it? You often think of September as being cool days. I don't think we're seeing that right off the bat, are we? Not a bit there. Now, look at the mess we've got here as we go to the Atlantic. We've got 4 different systems that we're following. This is Mr. Nasty right here. There's a 70% chance that this will turn into something. Again, we don't know where it will go. It's a long way out. It could just hover around and stay here in the Atlantic. We've got a 40% chance of the second one. And these two here is what we're watching at 20 and 30%. This would affect Texas, Louisiana if it turns into something that would go right through here below Miami and go into the Gulf. 30% chance of that happening. I know that's mediocre, but it could happen. And again, it's not a very strong storm at this point, but something to watch. Nevertheless, could bring a little bit of rain there to the Louisiana-Texas coast. We'll watch that over the next few days from the National Hurricane Center. So it's showing exactly what they've told us. It's going to be active. Although nothing is developed yet, there's a lot in the works out there, isn't it? It is. What's our fishing forecast? Well, today looks like 7:30 is a minor time to go. Later this afternoon, 2 o'clock, 2 to 4 p.m. is the time to be there. And again, it's going to be hot. 2 to 4 p.m. is a perfect time. Wind's going to be calm, moving north around 5 miles an hour by the time the afternoon moves in. Ooh, doggy, as we say. 6:46 as we get ready for the morning show beginning at 7. We got a recap of everything that's gone on locally across the state and across the nation. we'll talk about the old boy. Y'all listened to it yet? North of Richmond, north of Richmond. We'll ask Odie, has he lost his mind? There's a reason behind that. Maybe he's sticking to his guns. Anybody ever offered you $8 million and you said, nah, that's okay. Nah, I'm good. He did it. We'll discuss that coming up at 7 o'clock. I hope you'll join us. Let us be a part of your day, and we thank you for being, well, a part of ours and making us, giving us all the information that we get. We'll see you back soon in roughly 10 minutes from now. Chet Parker, good morning. How in the world are you doing? A lot of you folks up there. Teresa, good morning. We'll see you soon as we'll start the morning out with the Scotty Ray Report.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: